Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Real Hawks Talk podcast. My name is Kyle or VTech, which whatever you want to call me. I'm good with whatever. We are going into the weekly stats of the Blackhawks, their second week until the final week of the regular season. We're going to go ahead and the Hawks went 2-1-1 in the 4 games they had between March 24th and the 30th, having 3 points out of 6, and being from this point, I believe, 6 points back from the second wildcard spot. It's been a day. I don't know if Colorado played and they might have won, and that would bump them up to 8 points back. They have 4 games remaining, and yeah, their playoff hopes are basically over. Especially not coming out with 5 and 6 points, 5 out of 6 points. Especially losing to LA really at the end of the week really killed them in that aspects of it. But we'll go ahead and get into the game stats, and during the game stat, I'll just gonna kind of say the score of the game, who scored, the goalie stats, and then kind of a brief overview of what I think happened in the game, kind of just a quick overview of it. But going into Sunday, March 24th, an overtime winner against Colorado, 2-1. Hawks goal scorers were Artem Anisimov. He had his 14th of the year. Duncan Keefe with his 6th. And assist scorers were Brent Seabrook, his 20th. And Brandon Saad with his 20th. Corey Crawford's stats were 19 saves, 20 shots against for a .950 save percentage and 1 goal against. It was a good game. I mean, I went to the game. I had that whole experience. It was a really good game. Defense playing well, offense kind of cold a little bit. But they end up coming with the W at the end there. Then Tuesday, March 26th, Hawks failed to score in the shutout defeat against Arizona. Crawford's stats were 28 saves, 29 shots against, for a .966 save percentage and 1 goal against. Now, it led down to a stupid penalty. Which really, I mean, that's what it was. It came down to a penalty. I mean, it was just both teams were really playing as they don't want to screw up as a how would I want to describe it, as a playoff game, because it sort of was. I mean, the Hawks coming back a little bit, maybe putting some life in. You're talking, they still have that opportunity, but they lose in the third period. With, I believe it was a stupid penalty that caused the game to end in that one. And then we move until March 28th. The Hawks beat the San Jose Sharks in a shootout type of game, 5-4. Goal scorers were Alex DeBrink with his 39th and 40th, Jonathan Taves with his 33rd, Chris Kunitz with his 4th, Connor Murphy with his 5th. Scorers were Jonathan Taves with his 43rd, Patrick Kane with his 62nd and 63rd, Brandon Saad with his 21st and 22nd, Eric Gustafson with his 30th and 30th 9. Dylan Strome had 34 on the year, and Dominic Cahoon had his 23rd of the year. And it was a key situation to where they were in the middle of December. They were scoring goals, no defense, just the exact same game. Really, that's what it was. That's how I would describe it. It was a good win, give you a little hope there. But it was still just like one of those, shootout games that I don't really enjoy, because the Hawks were up 3-0 in the first period. Or, well, 3-1 going into the second period. Crawford gave up 1 bad goal, but the rest of the time was, there was nothing. Penalties like crazy. It was very undisciplined, professional, like, I guess, kind of game. one of those games you're glad you come out with 2 points, but that was their only win of the second win of the week. And I guess I had that wrong because they would have had 6, 5, 5 out of 6 points this week. I guess I screwed that one up because yeah, I'm stupid. Okay, that happens. I misread that what I was trying to say. Math is kind of hard sometimes, but they had 5 out of 6 points this week, which I guess is a pretty good week as far as points, but just not in key situations where they need to win. So, Crawford's stats in that game were 36 saves, 30 shots against, a .865 save percentage with 4 goals against. Like I said, Crawford really gave up just one bad goal. In my eyes, maybe another one that he wish he would have had back, but it ultimately just came down to the defense. That's what that was. The March 30th game, very big win. They need a very big win out of this game, facing the 30th ranked team in the league, the LA Kings, and they lose in overtime to them 4-3. The goal scorers in that game were Alex DeBrincat, his 41st of the year, Eric Gustin with his 17th. The assists were by Patrick Kane with the 64th, Artem Anisimov with his 22nd, Duncan Keith with his 32nd, and Marcus Kruger with his 8th. But that's what kind of sealed the deal there for them losing that game in overtime and not taking 2 points out of that, which really kind of screwed them a little bit. You could handle losing that one game. Actually, I am sorely mistaken. For some reason, I cannot get the math down to right because I did this the day before, and I'm doing this now, and everything's kind of jacked up. Because technically they got 5 out of 8 points in this because I was doing the math, and if they would have won that game, I was like, that's a little confusing. So I really apologize for that, but that's why I'm doing these. I'm gonna make mistakes and just gonna have to learn from those mistakes and not make as many. There's issues going on in personal life, so my mind's kind of somewhere else, and I apologize for that. But going into we're going into I should say I am covering most points, most assists, most goals, the goalie stats over the week, time on ice average leader, hits leader, shots on goal leader, block shots leader, and then the top plus leader, and my 3 stars, and then we'll just kind of get into what next week's matchups are going to look like. But most goals, Alex DeBrincat with 3. Most assists, Patrick Kane at 3. Most points, Artem Anisimov, Brandon Saad, Alex DeBrincat, and Patrick Kane all had 3. Crawford stats this week were 99 saves, 108 shots against, for a .916 save percentage, with a goals against of a 2.25 goals against. And really, those last 2 games kind of hurt that average on the goals against portion of it. But, he's coming off of playing what I think it was by the end of the week, his 12th straight game playing. And with Crawford, him playing 12 straight games, that can kind of wear taking a lot of shots here and there. I mean, starting off that week, he didn't really face a lot of shots, and he let one in. But the offense, there's just no offensive help there. And then when there's also offensive help, he's getting no defensive help. Especially in the LA game, they should have won that game, and there was 2 mental mistakes that really caused the game. 3, but one of his, his poke check on I forget who it was. It wasn't on Wagner the second time. But really, that one really wasn't on him. It was more of a defensive breakdown, and no one was covering him, and he was in the middle of a poke check and he kind of gets screwed out of that one. But the time on ice leader average was Duncan Keith at 24-13. Hits was Brent Seabrook at 15. Patrick Kane had the most shots on goal at 20. Brent Seabrook had the most blocks at 15, and Duncan Keith with a +3 at the end of the week. My 3 stars of this week were number 1, Corey Crawford, number 2, Brandon Saad, Patrick Kane at number 3. The reason I give this to Corey Crawford because he really helped the team kind of stay in every game. Really, that's the key. There is he helped everyone stay in that vicinity. The reason Brandon Saad is my number 2 is he deserves more credit than he gets sometimes. Yes. He's up there with the most points, but my thing is with him is that he always gives 110% every day. Every time he's out on the ice, he's a great penalty killer, great grinder, power forward kind of guy that the Hawks kind of need. He just always hustles, and he was one of the keys in some of the success lately with a couple of wins. But he deserves a little bit more credit. I understand he's not a goal scorer, one of those things. But just watching him play, with his speed and his ability on the penalty kill, hats off to him. He deserves at least some recognition. That's why he's my number 2. Number 3 is Patrick Kane. The reason he's my my number 3, he's not scoring goals. I understand you have Alex DeBrincat, and I left him out, but Patrick Kane has had at least a point in every victory that they've had. Alex DeBrincat not so much. I mean, he had that 2-goal game against San Jose, but Patrick Kane always being involved in a play and getting something going. So that's why he's my number 3. But going to my next week's matchup here, the final regular season week. We're home against Winnipeg. They are 45, 24, and 4, 94 points. They are first in the Central. Kind of tied with Nashville, as you would say, but they have the edge. I don't know, head-to-head matchups or whatever, but they have the edge in the first, in the Central. Then they're home against St. Louis, 42, 28, and 8. They're third in the Central with 92 points. And then home against Dallas, 41, 31, 7, 89 points in the league this year. They are first in the wild card spot. And then we are at Nashville, 44, 29, and 6, 94 points, second in the Central. So, yeah, this week, wow. They won't catch anyone. It's going to be a tough week, but I think with this week coming up, it's really going to determine what next year's going to kind of look like for the Hawks. If front office doesn't completely dismantle them like they did after getting swept in 16. So let's not hope that happens. But it's going to be a tough week. My keys to the week are going to be offense and defense playing in harmony. Crawford still got to stay locked in, or any goaltender that's playing. I don't know if they're going to switch goalies around just because they're kind of out of it. So, and I think that another key is for the third and fourth line to produce a little bit more, get better shifts out of it. I mean, they have a potential of being very decent, but you can't always rely on your first and second line to really score. You need those key goals and key situations. So those are going to be my 3 keys of the week there. But I know it's gonna be a short podcast, just because there's stuff to discuss, but it's getting down to the end of the year. The Hawks are out of it. There's not much really to describe in that portion of it. It's just gonna go the way it is. But coming towards the end of the season, I will be doing a yearly podcast at the end of the year, and then I'll be doing a overview of every player, their stats, and what their production rate and all that other stuff going forward for next year, and any kind of updates or anything like that. It's gonna turn into not a after game, not like 3-4 times a week, more of a once a week, just to let everything accumulate, so I have more stuff to talk about, because I know some days can be a little different, and so I can get all the statistics for everyone that I'm going to be covering and stuff like that. So if you enjoy the podcast, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Also share with any other Blackhawks fans that may enjoy a podcast and kind of hear it from a fan's perspective and not so much an analytic, and uncut almost, because I know I say some words that you can't hear on radio, but more of just kind of what you see from a fan's perspective. Really, that's what this is. But also down to the description below, which will be my Twitch link. That's I do sometimes. I do it live. Sometimes there's complications with doing it live, with internet, all that other stuff like that. But also follow me on Twitter. I will post up when videos go up, when podcasts go up, when I will post prior to games. If anyone has comments, questions, concerns, anything they want me to discuss throughout the podcast, maybe have a little segment with that, and we can talk, and I can give an idea of to counter argument or to agree with something along the lines of that. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening, whenever you're watching this, and hopefully catch you in the next podcast.